Hello, everyone, and welcome to Running Maryland's The Runaround here on ESPN 1300 AM, a show made by runners and track athletes for runners and track athletes. As always, the show is brought to you by Holabird Sports. If you want the widest selection of running gear, check out Holabird Sports online at holabird.sports.com or visit their Baltimore showroom on Pulaski Highway. I'm your co-host, Greg Jubb, along with the man, the myth, the legend, Brad Jager here in this booth.
How you doing there, Greg?
Nice
to be back this week. I understand you liked Sandra better than me being in here.
You know, it was good to have a different presence on the show, someone with some liveliness.
I just don't understand that at all.
Well, you can make up for it today. How about that?
Okay.
Today, we'll be talking to Alexis Franklin and Hannah Oneda, two of the most dominant athletes in the state this year. Also, we're going to talk to Coach Andy Young and distance runner James McBride of Millersville University, where the track and field and cross-country programs are in danger of getting cut. They're going to talk to us about how they're fighting the good fight. But going into the race recap this week, a lot of championships, Brad. The past week or so, week and a half, nothing but championships.
Maryland State Public School Championships was Monday and Tuesday at PG Sportsplex. And I got to tell you, this year, except for a few good performances, it seems to be a little bit of a down year for Maryland in the state. The top mile time was by Will Conway, around a 4:21. Usually we see a couple of guys breaking 4:20 indoors. The girls probably had the best performances overall. Our guest here, Hannah Oneda, doubled 5:04 and a 10:45 and a 3,200. And ran it all by herself, right from the opening gun.
Now, what do you think about this? Some of the coaches, I was talking to Coach Andres Wright of Urbana, and he was saying that although we're not seeing humongous performances, it's really deep this year. What do you think about that?
There was a lot of kids around 9:45 or under for the 3,200. You'd still expect to see somebody getting under 9:30. Braden Bruning, I believe, had the best time at 9:36. Zach Weinstein and Justin Ahall from Eleanor Roosevelt was right there also. Evan Hardy from Williamsport had a nice double at 4:26 and 9:36. But I still would expect to see just a little bit more out of some of the athletes at this time of year. Maybe kids are not taking indoor as seriously as they used to be and realize they can't peak 3 times a year, cross-country, indoor and outdoor, and using indoors more as a training tool and getting ready for outdoor, which I've heard from a bunch of athletes. One of the best distance runners in the state, Anna Reba from Walt Whitman, always takes off from indoor track and comes back pretty strong in outdoor. Emily Mulhern out of Urbana, which I always get yelled at for saying wrong.
Look at that accent. Look at that accent Brad has.
She was a freshman, one of the best runners in the state in cross country, didn't run indoor at all this year, probably was swimming. So maybe they'll see him come back stronger in outdoor.
Now, I know in college when they run the indoor season, I mean, sometimes most athletes only run 3 or 4 races, or at most 5. So what do you think about that? Do you think that the indoor season is kind of a throwaway season? Is it just getting ready for outdoor? Is it outdoor track junior? You know what I mean? What do you think about that?
I tend to be a little bit of an advocate of getting rid of the indoor season altogether. The distance runners are tired after cross country, and 5 days later they're back at practice for indoor track. I'd like to see them start the outdoor track season in February. Give the distance runners some time to get a base training again. Give the football players some time to get over some of the injuries from football, get ready for outdoor track, and let February to March 15th be the training time that you're getting yourself ready and ready to go for outdoor track. I think we'd save a lot of athletes from injuries, and I think we would see a lot faster times in outdoor track.
And I'm sure there's tons of opinions out there for that issue. But, we talked about the distance runners. How about the sprints? I know Champ Page had a big performance in the 300 and 500.
Yeah, Champ ran really well. So I'm trying to search here for his times. Ran a really quick 300 on a flat track at 34:36, right in front of his old buddy Tavon Jacobs there, back behind him at 34:71.
That old rivalry.
Yeah, came back with another fast 500 at 1:04.9. Christian White from Laurel sneaked in there at second, only 8/100ths of a second behind
For
Champ.
those who saw that race, Brad, I know you were there. I know we were there covering it live on runningmaryland.com. That was a really interesting race. I couldn't tell if Champ was just doing enough to get the win, or was he really getting challenged? It was tough to tell, even though, it's tough for Champ Page to lose. I mean, he is just a top-notch athlete, but that was a closer race than I anticipated.
He was getting challenged, but also at the state meet, the time was very compressed. It was a short amount of time between races for athletes, with only 2 heats of each event, 1 heat for the longer races. Kids were getting through the starting line and heading back towards the starting line for the next race.
And 2 things I want to bring up before we move on to the college championships. I mean, do you see those 4x200 meter? relays, they were brutal this year.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it. I was down on the track around lane 6, and I couldn't help but notice maybe the lanes at the PG County track are just too thin. People are always, there's constant lane violations.
Yeah,
but,
there was a
lot of contact. I mean,
Yeah.
these are big guys. These are guys moving quick, and when it comes to the exchange zone, there's a lot of traffic, and sometimes they just bump into each other. But it was ugly.
But it made for great video on RunningMaryland.com.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was New York style of running. You know, it's all warfare out there.
Yeah,
so.
you would know what, we got a Jersey native in here. But yeah, you see less contact in hockey sometimes.
Yeah,
it was interesting.
It was a fun meet to watch.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, going to the college conference championships, the ACCs. Solid performances for Maryland athletes. Mariah Young, a McDonough grad of University of Maryland, placed third in the weight throw with a toss of 61 feet 7 inches. Another McDonough grad, Kristen Brown, scored 6 points for Virginia Tech by placing third in the pole vault with a height of 13 feet 5 inches. Amina Smith, formerly of Patuxent High School, and Amber Melville of North Carroll High School placed second and third respectively in the high jump. I know, Coach Frank Costello in College Park has them working hard. John Hill, Walkersville High School grad, claimed a silver in the high jump with a hop of 6 feet 11 3/4 inches, and he had surgery on his knee, his meniscus, I believe, earlier this year. So it's good to see that he's healthy and jumping well again. Tasha Stanley, formerly of Eleanor Roosevelt High School, now running for the Tar Heels, easily won the 800 2:08. She looked smooth through that too.
Right, another
impressive.
Eleanor Roosevelt graduate, Takesia Jameson's running for Miami, another great 400 hurdler.
Yeah, so we'll certainly see her performing well in outdoors. Clemson's Justin Murdoch, formerly of Westlake High School, won the bronze medal in the 60-meter dash, which is always competitive in the ACC. You go to Florida State, Miami, Clemson, those southern schools in the Atlantic Coast Conference are tough. Speaking of Clemson, the Clemson women slept places first through third in the 60-meter dash and first through fifth in the 60-meter hurdles. That's a total of 57 points in 2 events alone. I mean, those Clemson Tigers, the Lady Tigers, they can sprint. Kyle Graves, for those who saw the first event of the ACC championships on the track, ran 4:06 to win his heat and qualify for the finals, which is always tough in the ACC. I mean, he's really come along strong. He ran 4:13 in high school, and he's really stepped it up in college. But nothing compared to Ryan Hill. I mean, the athlete of the meet, if you ask me, ran a 3:57 split in the DMR, came back from behind to catch up to Virginia to claim the title for NC State, and then he came back and won easily in the 3K the next day, running 8 flat. And he ran the collegiate record in the 3K earlier this year, running 7:43, so he's got some wheels. The America East Conference Championships, Mercedes Jackson, a freshman at UMBC, wins the 60-meter dash by a good margin, running 7.49 seconds. And she came back and placed second in the 200, running 24 flat, only 1/100th of a second away from the gold. Amani Colbert, a senior at UMBC, took the silver in the 60-meter hurdles, and UMBC junior Amanda Deller won the weight throw with a toss of 55 feet 2 inches. Also, 2 more UMBC athletes, Joshua Hewitson, a senior, placed second in the 500, running 1 minute and 3 seconds, and Trey Proctor won the men's 60-meter hurdles in 8.08 seconds. Moving on further west.
But one thing that's really nice to see, Greg, about all of these athletes from UMBC and from Maryland, they're all homegrown athletes from Maryland. It's nice to see that the Maryland colleges are going after the Maryland athletes and making them that more successful.
And we can only hope that Maryland track and field can stay around, for next year and in the future to keep recruiting these athletes. But that might be tough. Moving further west, Big 12 championships. A Maryland high school alum is doing big things in a tough conference for the sprints. Olivia Ekpene, Northwest High School, correct?
Right.
Yeah, she's now competing for Texas A&M, finished 4th in the Big 12 60-meter dash and 5th in the 200. Not a medalist, but she ran 7.46 in the 60 and 23.51 seconds in the 200. And to boot, she was the 3rd or 4th Aggie in those races alone. I mean, she's got some elite company down there in College Station, so that's something else.
I want to see her go back to the 400. I mean, she's fast in the 60, she's fast in the 200, but I still think her best event is the 400.
Yep. And the Johns Hopkins Blue Jays, the women, claimed the Centennial Conference team title, and the men took second place. So congrats to them. I know Bobby Van Allen, the coach over there, is very proud of that. Right. Going to the pros, USA Indoor Championships. In my mind, the performance of the meet goes to Shantae Lowe, who set a new American record in the high jump. She jumped 6 feet 7.5 inches. And what makes it all the more impressive is that fairly recently, she gave birth to another child. So she came back and said, hey, I'm going to hop an American record. 6 feet 7 inches with zero competition.
And it was just a couple of hours ago that she gave that birth, too.
We got a real doctor in here now. Reese Hoffa had a big throw in the shot put, getting the shot out to 71 feet and 4 inches, beating Ryan Moiting and Christian Cantwell, both of whom broke 70 feet. Local elite athlete Tyler Blatchley was competing as well. Probably didn't get the throw that he wanted, but nonetheless, always a pleasure to see local athletes competing at the U.S. Indoor Championships. Sonia Richards-Ross ran away with the 400, clocking a smoking fast 50.71. And in second place was Natasha Hastings of Under Armour. Pretty cool. We're broadcasting only miles away from Under Armour headquarters, so it's always very cool to see Under Armour athletes doing well at the elite level. Leo Manzano wins the men's 1500, edging Matthew Senchwich Jr. after they took the first 800 out in a very pedestrian 2:11 pace, and it came down to a smoking fast last 600 meters, 800 meters or so.
I didn't quite understand that at all, that race, you know.
But did you see the race? Senchwich, I thought, was going to take it. He had just an undeniably fantastic kick. But Jeff C., formerly of Ohio State, went down, and he was in third. Matt Senchwich is right behind him. It looks like he got kind of caught up a little bit. I don't know, maybe that would have thrown off Matt's race just enough where he couldn't have that final gear to hold off Leo Manzano. Did you see that race, Brad?
Yeah, I saw the whole race. It just looked like Senchwich on the last straightaway just didn't give 110% for that win. I think it almost looked like he just kind of let Leo go right by him.
I know he tweeted after the race saying that, he doesn't like finishing second, but what better motivation to do well further down the road, especially now that it's an Olympic year.
Right.
Jenny Simpson, whom we just talked to last week on the Runaround, won the 1500, holding off a sprinting Brenda Martinez, who almost caught her. And she also took the gold in the 3,000 meter the night before, making it look easy in 9:19. The men's 3,000, Brad, I know we were talking about this before the show even started. Galen Rupp was leading most of the way. Legat took over. Right. He won the race eventually, but smoked the last lap in 25. And if you were watching on ESPN last night, it was a work of art.
25.62 last 200.
I mean, you could see it too.
Yeah.
It was so fast. Ashton Eaton, better known for winning the multi-events, took the gold in the long jump with a mark of 26 feet. 26 feet 5 inches. The guy's just so talented. He's got so much range. So, I mean, the U.S. multi-athletes are really a cut above the rest. Willie Clay with a huge hop in the triple jump, 57 feet 10 inches, good enough for first, and former Florida Gators teammate and 2011 world champion Christian Taylor was right behind him in second.
Also helped that meet was at altitude to give those jumpers a little bit better.
A little more spring.
Yeah.
And speaking of altitude helping out, Trell Kimmins and Justin Gatlin smoked the 60-meter, running 6.45 and 6.47 seconds respectively. So the sprinters, they're gearing up to face off against the Jamaicans.
And Gatlin's coming back nice after all the issues he had with steroids a while ago, and he's taking the time off and come back even stronger.
And before we sign off and start talking to Hannah Oneda and Alexis Franklin here, let's talk about the Club Challenge 10-miler.
Yes.
Basically tantamount to the road racing championships amongst all clubs in Maryland. The Falls Road Racing Team reigned supreme, beating the Howard County Striders. Conrad Laskowski, the Falls Road, took the men's title running 52.55, and that's about 5:17 per mile. And the Brooks-sponsored Chrissy Ramsey, who was on the runaround not too long ago also, took the women's race in 61 minutes and 36 seconds.
And may I say that in sixth place, helping the Falls Road team, was my son, Jesse, running 55.17, and he's getting ready for Boston, looking to zip under 2:30 there.
I was going to ask you, Jesse Jager, any relation to you, Brad?
Yes, that is my wonderful son.
But, I mean, really, pack tactics for Falls Road here. They had, let's see, pretty much 8 runners in the top 10 here. They got first, second, and fourth through ninth.
Through the first 4 miles, there was a pack of 8 or 9 together. And then once they hit the hills back in the neighborhoods, it started to separate out a little bit. But it was a perfect day for running, nice and cold, and some fast times out there. Megan DiGregorio of Falls Road, one of my old proteges at Perry Hall High School, ran a 1:02. That's a darn good time for her out there.
And a talented steepler at Towson University.
Right.
Just recently graduated. But yeah, Nate Brigham, Dustin Meeker, Vince Collins, Jesse Jager, Tristan Thomas, Alex Battaglino, and Ed Aramayo rounded out a big, very tight pack in the top 10 for Falls Road. So they pretty much ran away with it. But coming up, we're going to be talking to Alexis Franklin of Old Mill High School and Hannah Oneda, two of the fastest high school athletes in the state.
In the world.